The day started like any other at Earth's Orbital Defense Station Alpha. Captain Susan Miller sipped her coffee while watching the stars through the large observation window. At 42, she had spent most of her life in space, but the view never got old. "Captain, we have an unknown object entering the solar system," said Lieutenant Ryan Cooper, his eyes fixed on the radar screen. Susan set down her coffee. "Show me." The main screen lit up with an image of a sleek, silver vessel unlike anything humans had built. It moved with strange grace, leaving a soft blue trail behind it. "Send the standard greeting message," Susan ordered. Earth had prepared for this moment for decades. First contact with an alien species. Ryan sent the message, a simple welcome in multiple languages alongside mathematical formulas meant to show peaceful intent. They waited. "No response, Captain," Ryan said after 5 minutes. "Try again and alert Earth Command." The strange ship continued moving toward Earth, ignoring all attempts at communication. Susan felt her heart race. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. "It's accelerating," Ryan reported, his voice tense, "and I'm detecting energy buildup in what might be weapon systems." Susan hit the station's alarm. "Battle stations. All personnel to emergency positions." Major Alan Wright rushed onto the bridge, his face serious. "Earth Command is scrambling fighters." "What's the situation?" Before Susan could answer, the alien ship fired. A bright beam of energy hit the station's outer ring, sending tremors through the structure. "Return fire," Susan ordered. "Defensive pattern Delta." Earth's defense station fired back with missiles and laser systems. The alien vessel easily dodged most attacks, its technology clearly superior. "Our weapons aren't getting through their shields," Alan said, studying the tactical display. Susan remembered the experimental EMP device the science team had developed. "What about Project Thunderclap?" Alan's eyes widened. "It's untested on actual alien tech. We have no idea if it will work." "We have no choice," Susan said as another hit rocked the station. "Prepare Thunderclap." While the station continued exchanging fire with the alien ship, technicians rushed to prepare the experimental device. The alien vessel circled back, clearly preparing for another attack run. "Thunderclap ready, Captain," Ryan reported. Susan took a deep breath. "Fire." The device launched, looking like nothing more than a small satellite. When it neared the alien ship, it detonated in a flash of blue light. The alien vessel suddenly went dark, drifting in space. "It worked," Alan shouted. "Their systems are down." Susan didn't waste time celebrating. "Prepare boarding teams. I want to know who they are and why they attacked us." The boarding team, led by Alan, reported back within an hour. The aliens called themselves Zoraxians, members of a vast empire that controlled thousands of worlds across the galaxy. They were shocked that their ship had been disabled by what they considered a primitive species. The captured Zoraxian captain was brought to the station. Tall and blue-skinned with 4 arms, he looked at Susan with obvious disdain. "Your resistance is meaningless," he said through a translator device. "We expected immediate surrender, as is customary for primitive worlds." Susan stood tall despite being half his height. "Earth doesn't surrender." The Zoraxian made a sound that might have been laughter. "The Zoraxian Empire spans half the galaxy. Your world is nothing but a speck of dust to us. You have one standard galactic cycle to prepare for formal integration into the Empire." "And if we refuse?" Alan asked. The alien's large eyes narrowed. "Then your planet will be cleansed of resistance. 30 of your Earth days. That is all the time you have." As guards took the alien away, Susan and Alan exchanged worried looks. Humanity had just made its first contact with alien life, and it had immediately turned into a countdown to possible invasion. "We need to warn Earth," Susan said, "and we need to prepare." Alan nodded grimly. "If they think we'll just roll over and accept being conquered, they've seriously misunderstood humans." Susan looked out at the disabled alien ship. Let's make sure they don't make that mistake again. The United Nations Emergency Session was the largest gathering of world leaders in history. Every country sent representatives to New York as news of the alien threats spread across the globe. Dr. Olivia Grant stood at the podium, showing images of the captured Zoraxian ship and its crew. At 35, she was Earth's top expert in alien biology, though until a week ago, that title had been mostly theoretical. The Zoraxians are advanced, but not godlike, she explained, pointing to details of their technology. Their ships use a form of energy we can counter. Their weapons are powerful, but not unstoppable. The room filled with worried murmurs. A gray-haired man stood up, General Paul Martins of the United States Space Force. Instead of preparing to surrender, he said firmly, I propose we fight back. We have 30 days. Let's use them to build our defenses, not plan our defeat. Many leaders looked shocked. Fight a galactic empire? Asked the French president. That's suicide. Maybe not, said Lieutenant Kevin Daniels, the young engineer who had been studying the alien ship. We found weaknesses in their shield technology. It can't handle certain frequencies our weapons can produce. If we work together, we can adapt our defenses. For hours, the debate continued. Some nations wanted to negotiate surrender terms. Others insisted on fighting. By evening, General Martinez's plan won majority support. We will draft what I call the Earth Sovereignty Declaration, announced the UN Secretary General. A clear message that Earth rejects imperial rule and will defend its independence. Over the next 3 weeks, the world changed. Old enemies became allies as countries shared military resources and scientific knowledge. Lieutenant Daniels led a global team that worked day and night to upgrade Earth's weapons with the new anti-Zoraxian technology. Factories worldwide shifted to building space defenses. Ordinary people volunteered by the millions to help with everything from construction to food distribution. For the first time in history, humanity truly united against a common threat. Dr. Grant made another important discovery while studying the captured aliens. The Zoraxians have never faced serious resistance from worlds at our technology level, she told the military council. They expect us to be afraid. Their entire empire is built on that fear. Then let's show them we're not afraid, said General Martinez. 28 days after the first contact, Earth was ready to deliver its answer. The world's most powerful satellite dish aimed at the stars, broadcasting on all frequencies the Zoraxians used. President Diane Lee of the United States, chosen to speak for Earth, stood before cameras that would send her image across space. People of Earth and members of the Zoraxian Empire, she began, we have received your demand for surrender. Our answer is this: Earth is a sovereign world. We do not recognize imperial authority. No Zoraxian ships will be allowed in our solar system. Any attempt to force entry will be met with all our strength. As she spoke, on the far side of the moon, Captain Susan Miller and Major Alan Wright prepared for a demonstration. The captured Zoraxian vessel, now empty of its crew, had been placed in orbit. Weapons ready? Susan asked. Alan nodded. All ships standing by. Fire. 5 Earth ships, each equipped with the new anti-Zoraxian technology, fired at once. The alien vessel, once seemingly invincible, broke apart in seconds. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface, a bright new star that appeared and faded. The message continued broadcasting, showing the destruction of the Imperial ship, followed by President Lee's final words. This is our home. We will defend it. Earth stands free. Back in the UN building, General Martinez watched the broadcast with Dr. Grant. Do you think they'll back down? She asked quietly. The general shook his head. No, but neither will we. Across Earth, people looked up at the night sky, wondering what would come next from the stars. For the first time, they faced the universe not as separate nations, but as one world ready to fight for its freedom. The response from the Zoraxian Empire came exactly 2 days after Earth's declaration. 3 large warships appeared at the edge of the solar system, accompanied by a smaller vessel marked with imperial diplomatic symbols. Captain Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the U.S. Independence, Earth's first ship equipped with the adapted alien technology. At 38, she had been chosen to lead this mission because of her background in both military tactics and diplomacy. "They're hailing us," said her communications officer, Jack Nelson. Lisa straightened her uniform. On screen, the main screen showed a tall, blue-skinned Zoraxian wearing what appeared to be formal robes decorated with strange symbols. Unlike the military captain they had captured earlier, this one had elaborate markings on his face. "I am Ambassador Krulfar of the Zoraxian Empire," he announced. "I come to discuss Earth's misunderstanding of its position." Lisa kept her face neutral. "This is Captain Rodriguez of Earth Defense Force. We received your transmission and are prepared to meet. My ship will approach alone." The Independence moved forward while Earth's other ships waited at a safe distance. Lisa had clear orders: appear respectful but show no weakness. The meeting took place in the neutral space between the two fleets. Lisa and two officers transported to the Zoraxian diplomatic vessel. The room they entered was designed to intimidate, with high ceilings and the ambassador seated on an elevated platform. "Your planet's response was unexpected," Krulfar began, looking down at the humans. "No species has ever successfully resisted imperial integration. It is simply not done." Lisa remained standing tall. "There's a first time for everything, Ambassador." The Zoraxian made a sound like stones grinding together, which the translator indicated was laughter. "Perhaps you don't understand the scale of our empire. We control over 4,000 worlds. Our fleet numbers in the tens of thousands." "We understand perfectly," Lisa replied. "But Earth is not interested in becoming number 4001. Krulfar's four hands moved in what seemed to be a gesture of patience. "I am authorized to offer generous terms. Earth may maintain limited self-government. You would provide only reasonable tribute in resources and soldiers. Many worlds consider this an honor. And if we refuse, then the Empire will take what it wants anyway," the ambassador said simply. "Why suffer needlessly? Your weapons may have surprised one scout ship, but they cannot stand against our full might." Lisa smiled. "We have a counteroffer, Ambassador. The Zoraxian Empire formally recognizes Earth's complete sovereignty and establishes equal diplomatic relations with us, or no relations at all." For the first time, Krulfar seemed genuinely surprised. "You are in no position to make demands." "Actually, we are." Lisa nodded to her officer, who activated a small device. A holographic display appeared, showing thousands of small dots scattered throughout the solar system. "These are stealth satellites," Lisa explained, "each armed with weapons specifically designed to target Zoraxian shield frequencies. You sneeze wrong anywhere in our solar system, and you'll be met with firepower from every direction." "You're bluffing," Krulfar said, but uncertainty showed in his large eyes. "Test us if you wish," Lisa replied calmly. "Or you can take our message back to your leaders. Earth is off-limits to Imperial vessels." The ambassador stood, towering over the humans. "You have made a grave mistake. The Empire does not negotiate with primitives. You will regret this insolence." "Perhaps," Lisa said, "but that's our choice to make." As they returned to the Independence, Lisa's second-in-command looked worried. "Do you think they bought it? We don't actually have thousands of satellites yet." Lisa watched as the Zoraxian ships began to move away. "We have enough to make them think twice. And that's all we need right now. Time." Back on Earth, when Lisa reported the meeting's outcome, General Martinez nodded with grim satisfaction. "Phase 1 complete. Now we prepare for their real response." "You think they'll attack?" President Lee asked. "I know they will," Martins replied. "But now they know we'll fight back. That's what matters." As the Zoraxian ships disappeared into the darkness of space, Earth continued its preparations. The brief encounter had bought them precious weeks, perhaps months, to strengthen their defenses before the Empire returned in force. For the first time in human history, all countries worked as one. Old enemies shared resources, borders opened for scientists and engineers, and the entire planet focused on a single goal: survival. Dr. Nathan Phillips led the newly formed Global Defense Initiative from a massive underground facility in Switzerland. At 52, with gray hair and tired eyes, he coordinated the worldwide effort to enhance Earth's defensive capabilities. "We have maybe 2 months before they return," he told the international team gathered around the holographic display. "Every day counts." Samantha Collins, a civilian engineer from Australia, pointed to her designs on the screen. "I think I've found something," she said. "The Zoraxian shields use a specific energy pattern. But what if we approach shield technology completely differently?" She explained her revolutionary idea, combining the alien tech with Earth's unique approach to quantum physics. The scientists listened with growing excitement. "Can you build it?" Dr. Phillips asked. Samantha nodded. "With the right team and resources, yes. You'll have everything you need," he promised. Across the globe, similar breakthroughs happen daily. In military bases worldwide, Colonel Frank Johnson established training programs for space combat. Pilots learned to fight in 3 dimensions, using simulators based on the captured Zoraxian ship's movements. "Forget everything you know about air combat," Frank told his international group of pilots. "In space, there's no up or down. The enemy can come from any direction." The pilots trained day and night, learning to work together despite language differences and old rivalries. Russians flew alongside Americans, Chinese alongside Indians, all wearing the new Earth Defense Force uniform. Meanwhile, in a secret mission, diplomatic envoy Elizabeth Clark traveled to the nearest star system where another alien race lived under Zoraxian rule. Using a small, fast ship with stealth technology, she made contact with representatives from the Nebulan species. "The Zoraxians have ruled us for 3 centuries, the Nebulan leader told her in a hidden meeting place. "Many worlds resent their control, but none dare resist." "Earth dares," Elizabeth said, "and we need allies. If you can truly stand against them, others will join you. But you must prove it's possible first." Elizabeth returned to Earth with crucial information about the Empire's structure and the locations of other potential allies. Her report gave humanity hope they weren't alone in their resistance. As weeks passed, Earth's moon transformed into a military base. Hidden beneath the surface, humans built hangars and weapon platforms. The first fleet of 20 Earth warships, each equipped with Samantha's new shield technology, prepared for battle. One evening, Dr. Phillips stood at the window of the lunar base, looking back at Earth glowing blue and green in the darkness. "Beautiful view," said Samantha, joining him after supervising the shield installation on the final ship. "Worth fighting for," he agreed. "Do you think we can win?" she asked quietly. Dr. Phillips considered the question carefully. "The Zoraxians have numbers and experience. We have innovation and determination. Throughout history, those factors have often beaten superior forces. And if we lose, then we lose fighting, not kneeling," he said firmly. "But I don't plan to lose." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent call. Earth's long-range sensors had detected a large fleet of ships entering the outer solar system. "How many?" Dr. Phillips asked the officer on screen. 50 Zoraxian warships, sir, much larger than the ones we've seen before." Dr. Phillips straightened his shoulders. "Alert Admiral Carter. Deploy all ships to defensive positions. Activate the lunar defense grid." As alarms sounded throughout the base, he turned to Samantha. "It seems we're about to test your shields sooner than expected." She nodded, her face determined. "They'll hold." Across the solar system, Earth's forces moved into position. On every ship and base, men and women prepared for humanity's first interstellar war. The next few hours would determine the future of their world, freedom or subjugation. Admiral John Carter's voice came over all communications channels, all ships, battle stations. "Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. Today, we show the galaxy that Earth stands free." Admiral John Carter stood on the bridge of the flagship EDF Defender, watching the tactical display as 50 Zoraxian warships approached. At 60, with a weathered face and steady hands, he had spent his life preparing for wars on Earth. Now he commanded humanity's defense against an alien empire. "They're forming attack patterns," reported his tactical officer. "3 main groups, spreading out to surround Earth." John nodded. "Just as we expected. Signal all ships. Execute Operation Hornet's Nest." Earth's 20 ships didn't try to form a defensive line. Instead, they scattered, hiding among asteroids and moons throughout the solar system. The Zoraxians, expecting a direct confrontation, hesitated. "They're confused," said Captain Greg Foster with a grim smile. "They expected us to protect Earth directly." "Let's add to their confusion," John ordered. "Launch stealth drones." Hundreds of small, unmanned craft deployed from Earth's ships and bases. They moved silently through space, surrounding the Zoraxian fleet without being detected. The Zoraxian commander's voice came through on all channels. "People of Earth, your defiance ends today. Surrender now or face orbital bombardment." John gave the signal. "All ships, attack pattern Delta. Drones, activate." Earth's smaller but more maneuverable ships darted from their hiding places, striking the Zoraxian vessels from unexpected angles. The drones activated powerful jamming signals, disrupting the enemy's communications and sensors. "Their formation is breaking," Greg reported. They didn't expect multiple attack vectors. The Zoraxians recovered quickly, their superior technology allowing them to target Earth's ships despite the jamming. 2 human vessels exploded in brilliant flashes. "They're pushing toward Earth," called the sensor officer. On Earth, Dr. Phillips watched the battle from the control center. "Activate the planetary shield grid," he ordered. Samantha Collins stood beside him, fingers flying over controls. "Shield grid online. Energy signature masked as instructed." The leading Zoraxian ships reached Earth's orbit and fired powerful energy weapons at the planet. To their surprise, the beams hit an invisible barrier, dissipating harmlessly against Samantha's shield design. "The shields are holding," Dr. Phillips announced to cheers from the control room. In space, John used the Zoraxian surprise to his advantage. "All ships, focus fire on their command vessels." Earth's ships concentrated their attacks on the largest enemy vessels, using the specific frequencies that bypassed Zoraxian shields. 3 Imperial ships erupted in flames. On the other side of the battle space, Commander Michelle Foster led a special team on a high-risk mission. Her small, stealthy craft approached the massive Zoraxian flagship, while the main battle distracted its crew. "Prepare boarding equipment," she told her team of 12 elite soldiers. "Remember, we only get one shot at this." Using magnetic grapples, they attached to the hull of the flagship and cut their way inside. The Zoraxian crew, focused on the battle outside, didn't detect them until it was too late. "Plant the disruptors at these key points," Michelle ordered, showing a map of the ship they had created from captured data. "We have 10 minutes before they locate us." The team split up, moving through the massive vessel to place experimental disruptor devices at crucial control junctions. When activated, these would disable the ship's central command systems. Michelle placed the final device herself, fighting through 2 Zoraxian guards to reach the main power coupling. "All teams, report," she said into her comm. "All disruptors placed," came the responses. "Activate and withdraw," she ordered. As they retreated to their craft, the disruptors activated simultaneously. Throughout the flagship, systems failed and control panels went dark. The giant vessel drifted powerless, its weapons silent. The battle shifted when 3 unexpected ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were alien vessels, but not Zoraxian. "They're attacking the Zoraxians," Greg reported in surprise. John recognized the ship designs from Elizabeth Clark's diplomatic mission. "The Nebulans," he said. "They've joined us." Caught between Earth's resistance and the surprise attack from behind, the Zoraxian fleet commander ordered a retreat. The Imperial ships that could still move gathered their damaged vessels and withdrew from Earth's solar system. As the stars quieted again, John looked at the tactical display. Earth had lost 5 ships, and many others were damaged. But the Zoraxians had lost 23 vessels, nearly half their fleet. "We did it," Greg said quietly. "We actually beat them." John shook his head. "Not beat them. Not yet. But we've shown them something no one ever has before." "What's that?" "That they can lose." News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The Zoraxian Empire had controlled information tightly for centuries, but they couldn't hide a defeat of this scale. 1 month after the battle, Ambassador Elizabeth Clark sat in a meeting room on the lunar base, facing representatives from 5 alien species. The blue-skinned Nebulans who had helped during the battle were joined by the insect-like Kaltorians, the crystalline Vox, and 2 other species humans had never seen before. "For generations, we believed resistance was impossible," said the Nebulan ambassador, his large eyes blinking slowly. "Earth has proven otherwise." Elizabeth smiled. "We're grateful for your assistance in the battle. Without your ships arriving when they did, our losses would have been much greater. Your victory inspired rebellions on dozens of Imperial worlds," said the Kaltorian representative, her mandibles clicking excitedly. "Entire sectors are declaring independence. On Earth, Professor William Turner established the first interspecies cultural exchange program. At 45, the anthropologist had spent his career studying human cultures. Now he welcomed alien scholars to share knowledge about art, science, and history. "Our differences make us stronger," he told the gathered aliens and humans in the newly built United Earth Center. "Each of our species has solved problems in unique ways. Together, we can achieve more than any empire built on conquest." The Zoraxian Empire, though wounded, remained powerful. 3 months after their defeat at Earth, they sent a diplomatic envoy to negotiate. The massive Imperial vessel approached Earth cautiously, broadcasting peaceful intentions. Admiral Carter and President Heather Wilson met the Zoraxian diplomats in the orbital station above Earth. The Imperial representatives wore plain robes instead of their usual military uniforms, a significant concession. "The High Council offers recognition of Earth's independence," the lead diplomat said stiffly. "In exchange, we request non-interference in Imperial affairs elsewhere." President Wilson, a tall woman with short gray hair and piercing eyes, shook her head. "We appreciate the offer of recognition, but we cannot agree to ignore the plight of other worlds seeking freedom." Admiral Carter added, "Instead, we propose the formation of a new interstellar alliance based on mutual respect and cooperation rather than conquest." The Zoraxian diplomat's face showed no emotion, but his voice carried surprise. "You would challenge the entire structure of galactic politics, based on one victory." "Based on principle," President Wilson replied. "And we're not alone." She gestured to the screens showing representatives from 17 formerly subjugated worlds who had already joined Earth's proposed alliance. News from within the Zoraxian Empire revealed growing political divisions. A reform faction had emerged, citing Earth's resistance as proof that their expansionist policies were unsustainable. "The costs of maintaining control through force grow higher each day," stated a Zoraxian senator in a leaked transmission. "Perhaps these humans offer a better path forward." Back on Earth, military leaders shared defense technologies with their new allies. Engineers from 7 worlds worked together to improve Samantha Collins' shield design, making it more efficient and powerful. Dr. Phillips supervised the construction of a massive space station at the edge of the solar system, a joint project between humans and 4 alien species that would serve as an early warning system and diplomatic hub. "I never imagined we'd achieve this much so quickly," he told Samantha as they watched alien and human workers building the station together. "Turns out we're not the only ones who were waiting for a chance to stand up to bullies," she replied. In the Zoraxian capital, the Emperor himself called an emergency session of the Grand Council. For the first time in 700 years, an imperial expansion had not only been stopped but reversed. These humans are different, the Emperor admitted to his closest advisors. They fight not just for themselves but for ideals, and somehow they've turned our own subjects against us. What shall we do? Asked his High Commander. The Emperor looked at the star map showing Earth's growing alliance of free worlds in what had once been secure imperial territory. We must either crush them completely, he said, or learn to live with them as equals. There is no middle path. 5 years after first contact, Earth had transformed from an isolated planet to the center of the newly formed Galactic Cooperative. 30 formerly subjugated species and breakaway provinces of the Zoraxian Empire had joined the alliance, creating a new power in the galaxy. Captain Susan Miller, now Admiral Miller, stood on the observation deck of the massive orbital diplomatic center above Earth. At 47, she commanded the Cooperative's combined defense fleet. Looking through the vast window, she watched ships from dozens of worlds arriving for the anniversary celebration. Hard to believe it's been 5 years, said Alan Wright, now her second in command. Susan nodded. Sometimes I think about that first day, when we had no idea what was out there. And now look at us. The Zoraxian Empire had withdrawn to its core systems. Though still powerful, it no longer expanded through conquest. Internal reforms had changed its government, with the more progressive factions gaining influence. On Earth, cities had changed to include alien visitors and residents. New technologies shared by allied species had solved energy problems and environmental challenges. In return, Earth had shared its art, music, and unique scientific approaches. In the main hall of the diplomatic center, representatives from 100 worlds gathered for the ceremony. President Wilson stood at the podium, flanked by alien dignitaries. 5 years ago, Earth made a simple declaration. She began. We said no Empire ships were allowed in our space. Today, that single act of defiance has grown into something none of us could have imagined. A new way for different worlds to work together. Dr. Olivia Grant, now head of the Interspecies Relations Department, watched from the side of the hall. Her years studying the diverse alien cultures had shown her something important. Earth's unique contribution wasn't just military resistance, she explained to a group of students later that day. It was our philosophy that cooperation doesn't require domination. Many species had advanced technology, but they had forgotten how to be equal partners. The most surprising change came 3 years after the battle, when the Zoraxian Empire requested to join trade talks with the Cooperative. Now, in a historic moment during the anniversary celebration, the first Zoraxian trading vessel received permission to dock at Earth's spaceport. Captain Susan and Alan went to meet it personally. The Zoraxian captain stepped off his ship and bowed slightly. Captain Krell of the trading vessel Prosperity, he introduced himself. We bring goods and goodwill from the reformed empire. Susan extended her hand in the human greeting gesture. Welcome to Earth, Captain Krell. Not as conquerors, but as equals. The Zoraxian hesitated, then took her hand. The stars are big enough for all of us to find our own paths. That evening, as celebrations continued across Earth and in ships throughout the solar system, Susan stood again at the observation window. The planet glowed blue and green below, surrounded by the lights of ships from across the galaxy. We did it, she said quietly to herself. We changed the rules of the game. Earth's declaration, once seen as naive defiance, had become the foundation of a new galactic order. The small blue planet that had once been alone in the universe now stood at the center of a growing community of free worlds, proving that even the smallest voices could change the course of history when they dared to say no to empire. 5 years after first contact, Earth had transformed from an isolated planet to the center of the newly formed Galactic Cooperative. 30 formerly subjugated species and breakaway provinces of the Zoraxian Empire had joined the alliance, creating a new power in the galaxy. Captain Susan Miller, now Admiral Miller, stood on the observation deck of the massive orbital diplomatic center above Earth. At 47, She commanded the Cooperative's combined defense fleet. Looking through the vast window, she watched ships from dozens of worlds arriving for the anniversary celebration. "Hard to believe it's been 5 years," said Alan Wright, now her second in command. Susan nodded. "Sometimes I think about that first day, when we had no idea what was out there. And now look at us." The Zoraxian Empire had withdrawn to its core systems. Though still powerful, it no longer expanded through conquest. Internal reforms had changed its government, with the more progressive factions gaining influence. On Earth, cities had changed to include alien visitors and residents. New technologies shared by allied species had solved energy problems and environmental challenges. In return, Earth had shared its art, music, and unique scientific approaches. In the main hall of the Diplomatic Center, representatives from 100 worlds gathered for the ceremony. President Wilson stood at the podium, flanked by alien dignitaries. 5 years ago, Earth made a simple declaration. She began. "We said no Empire ships were allowed in our space. Today, that single act of defiance has grown into something none of us could have imagined. A new way for different worlds to work together." Dr. Olivia Grant, now head of the Interspecies Relations Department, watched from the side of the hall. Her years studying the diverse alien cultures had shown her something important. Earth's unique contribution wasn't just military resistance, she explained to a group of students later that day. It was our philosophy that cooperation doesn't require domination. Many species had advanced technology, but they had forgotten how to be equal partners. The most surprising change came 3 years after the battle, when the Zoraxian Empire requested to join trade talks with the Cooperative. Now, in a historic moment during the anniversary celebration, the first Zoraxian trading vessel received permission to dock at Earth's spaceport. Captain Susan and Alan went to meet it personally. The Zoraxian captain stepped off his ship and bowed slightly. "Captain Krell of the trading vessel Prosperity," he introduced himself. "We bring goods and goodwill from the reformed empire." Susan extended her hand in the human greeting gesture. "Welcome to Earth, Captain Krell. Not as conquerors, but as equals." The Zoraxian hesitated, then took her hand. "The stars are big enough for all of us to find our own paths." That evening, as celebrations continued across Earth and in ships throughout the solar system, Susan stood again at the observation window. The planet glowed blue and green below, surrounded by the lights of ships from across the galaxy. "We did it," she said quietly to herself. "We changed the rules of the game." Earth's declaration, once seen as naive defiance, had become the foundation of a new galactic order. The small blue planet that had once been alone in the universe now stood at the center of a growing community of free worlds, proving that even the smallest voices could change the course of history when they dared to say no to empire.